Okay, so it's the 9th of May and it's the birthday of a very famous Scottish person. So I'm going to give you a Scottish fairy tale and a puzzle to work out who this person was. And of course, if you stick with me, then at the end I'll give you a suggestion for a fantastic way to spend a day out in Scotland. Come along. Hiya, I'm Bruce Fummey from Scotland History Tours. If you're interested in the people, events and places in Scottish history and you want some great ideas about places to visit in Scotland, then subscribe to my YouTube channel and click on the notification bell. That way you'll be notified every time I make a new YouTube video. In the meantime, let me tell you a story. Now, Scotland's a wondrous place with mystical beasts, from kelpies and mountain lochans to bigger beasts by the banks of Loch Ness. Friendly fairies, tatty bogles, finfolk, brownies and the big grey man of Ben Macdui. I even heard of an Englishwoman that came to Scotland and discovered a school for witchcraft and wizardry. There's gold in them there hills. Oh, I should also say thanks to Chaz from eComputers for lending me his DJI Osmo Pocket camera to help filming today. I'm not gonna lie, I've got no idea what a DJI Osmo Pocket camera is, but that's the kind of service you get from eComputers. Okay, so in Scotland we have mythical beasts, but we also have other fairy stories. Imagine somebody that's born 9 out of 10 children in a humble weaver's house that goes on to be a generous charitable benefactor. That's a bit of a fairy tale, isn't it? Our particular character went on to have schools named after him in London and in the United States of America. Can you guess who it is? When somebody goes from such humble beginnings to become a baronet of the realm, then that is like a fantasy, isn't it? Now, a baronet ranks higher than a knight, but you would call this person Sir, or Dame for that matter. And in this case, this title was awarded to this person by King George V in 1913. Any closer? This person rubbed shoulders with the great and good. Celebrities abounded in this person's circle. In actual fact, damn it, I've given away the fact that it's a male. Okay. He was the godfather of the son of Robert Falcon Scott of the Antarctica. In fact, in Captain Scott's last few hours, he wrote a letter to our hero asking him, after his death, to look after Scott's wife and children. Now, our baronet was so proud of that letter that he kept it on his person all the way through his life, right up until his death and burial back home here in Angus. Now, our character loved cricket. In fact, he put together his own knockabout social cricket team, which included, now get this, H.G. Wells, Rudyard Kipling, Arthur Conan Doyle, P.G. Wodehouse and loads of other great writers of the Victorian era. Quite an achievement, eh? From being born in a weaver's cottage here in Kirriemuir on the 9th of May 1860 to having your own blue badge at 100 Bayswater Road in London is certainly quite an achievement. Now, Kirriemuir was also the birthplace of Bon Scott of AC/DC fame, although I'm told they never met. Just in case you needed one more clue, fairy stories always have an element of tragedy. When our protagonist was 6, his elder brother died in an ice skating accident the day before his 14th birthday. His mum was distraught at the loss of her favourite son. Our young lad James said that his mum continued to talk to his elder brother even after he was dead. He himself even imitated the boy just to make his mum feel better. Our favourite son was frozen in time. He would remain a boy forever. He would be the boy that never grew up. And so the boy who never grew up was first introduced into a book that was published in 1902. And the name of that book, of course, was, you've got it, Little White Bird. And of course, a character from some of the central chapters of that book was expanded into his own book, and then that was expanded into a play, and then there was a book that followed that, and then there was films, and then there was all sorts of spin-offs. Look, I think we all know that the name of the character is, of course, Peter Pan. And he was a character that was invented by Scots writer J M Barrie, who was born and grew up in this weaver's cottage here. Now, Barrie got further inspiration for Peter Pan from some boys in a family that he met in London. And I'm not going to go into that aspect of the story because that's covered very well in a very good film with Johnny Depp playing J M Barrie called Finding Neverland. You'll get it on Amazon Prime. And the point is, go and watch that if you want to find out about that aspect of the story. In the meantime, let's cross the road. I remember once showing around an Indian couple. I think I was taking them on a whiskey tour. And every time I would tell them about some great Scot from history, some fantastic inventor or an engineer or a writer, you've heard about them. They would go, oh yes, we've heard about them. We thought they were English. But how many people that are watching this thought the same thing about J M Barrie? Tell me in the comment section below. I'd love to hear. In the film Finding Neverland, it never mentioned that J M Barrie was Scottish. Although, to be fair, Johnny Depp did make a reasonable attempt at a Scottish accent, certainly better than Mel Gibson in Braveheart. The film did point to the generosity of J M Barrie, and it was some foresight that Captain Scott had to select as somebody to look after his wife and children, somebody that had the generosity that Scots are famed for. What's he saying, Mary? I can't hear him. Now, in case you think I'm lip syncing here, because of traffic noise when filming, let me tell you that here, what I said is that James's religious parents wanted him to go into the ministry. But at the age of 6, James put on a play in the wash house in this cottage, and he knew he wanted to be a writer. When he was at Edinburgh University, he wrote drama reviews for the Edinburgh Evening Courant. After graduation, he worked as a journalist in Nottingham, but also wrote stories in the Scottish Kailyard tradition for a London newspaper. Thus commenced the writing career of a Scotsman who would become one of the most prolific literary figures in Victorian times. And it all began here, in a weaver's cottage in Kirriemuir. And it ends in the cemetery in the same Scottish town. I mentioned J M Barrie's generosity. Long before Pudsey Bear or Children in Need, Barrie donated the proceeds from the Peter Pan copyright to Great Ormond Street Hospital. So more than 100 years after Peter Pan was first staged and written, J M Barrie continues to donate to Great Ormond Street Hospital from beyond the grave. It's an easy trip from Perth or Dundee or Aberdeen to come here to Kirriemuir. You can go visit the J M Barrie Birthplace Museum. It's a National Trust monument. You might come up here to the cemetery, to his gravestone. It's well signposted. And here you'll find where the circle of life was finally completed. Now that's not the only thing to do in Kirriemuir. You could certainly spend a day in Kirriemuir. In fact, at some point in the future, I'll do a video all about Kirriemuir and all the things you could do on a day out without leaving the town. But Kirrie is the gateway to the Glens, and I want to take you there for one last story. Let's go. When J M Barrie was 28 and living in London, I'm guessing he would have taken a keen interest in a case that had arrived at the House of Lords there, but had originated in the Glens that he grew up in. If you take this road, the B955 out of Kirriemuir, after about half an hour you get to a beautiful spot I'm going to take you to called Glen Clover, and beyond that Glendall, and that's where the story comes from. The road is closed. Okay, so that's a bit embarrassing. The road was closed on the day of our visit. So, let me tell you what I was going to tell you with some background pictures of the area, right? So, behind Glen Clover Hotel, there's a path, and a wee half-hour walk will take you up to Loch Brandy for a bit of skinny dipping. Your granny will love it. Now, to the left of the hotel, the road, when it's open, will take you up the Glendall car park and ranger base. Now, you'll find a picnic area there and the start of a walk that's not for the likes of me. It's an old drover's road that goes 14 miles over Braemar. It's known as Jock's Road. Now, the reason it's known as Jock's Road is that Jock Winter was a shepherd who used to bring his sheep along that road. And in the late 19th century, a certain Duncan Macpherson came back rich from Australia and bought the Glendall estate. Now, as the landowner, he put a ban on the hoi polloi, such as Jock, walking over his land. But Jock defied the ban. Now, it went to court. Oh, David and Goliath, Jock's got no chance. Jock did get the support from the Scottish Right Away Society, and after lots of court battles and lots of money, the case ended up in the House of Lords. Oh, what happened? What happened? What happened? Jock won his battle. Ta-ta! Pow! Not only did Macpherson lose his case, but it bankrupted him in the process. I'd like to think that the 28-year-old J M Barrie, the London playwright and Kirriemuir lad, would have had a smile at that. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed this video. Don't forget to subscribe to the YouTube channel and ring the notification bell. There's a Google map below with a route starting from Perth and links to websites for a day trip in the description below. JM Barrie's birthplace, a trip up the Glen, refreshments at the Glen Clover Hotel, and of course a link to eComputers, my computer guys. Thanks to them. I've started the map from Perth, right, but Dundee or Aberdeen might be appropriate alternative starting points. A stretch Glasgow or Edinburgh, but to be honest, that would make for a long day or less time to enjoy the scenery. If you're in any doubt, why not hire a tour guide? I mean, Dochas can be la my life. Cheery and Rasta.